Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I'm excited to bring you just a short video today. But I'm very excited because I wanted to show something off. It's not a back issue, it's a new comic, one of the few new comics that I've gotten recently. And it is Boston Powers number 3. Now, in a previous video, I forget which one, I'm pretty sure I showed a copy of my Boston Powers number 1. I somehow missed issue 2. I'm going to have to pick that up. But really excited to get Boston Powers number 3. Now, as you can see here, Boston Powers is from the, it says Superheroes for Boston and Beyond. And BCR is the Boston Comics Roundtable. Now, I'm a member of the Boston Comics Roundtable. It's a group of comic creators here in the Boston area, and we get together and we discuss the creation of comics and the publishing of comics, and we sort of support each other and give each other, advice and critiques. We also come together to do anthologies, and the idea behind Boston Powers is that it's an all ages book. There's just not quite enough of those on the market. And so like when we do shows and we have tables as the Boston Comics Roundtable at conventions, we a lot of times have kids or parents looking for comics for kids. And it's not always kid friendly. Even the anthologies, it's like some of them are kid friendly, but some of the stories aren't. And that means that the whole anthology isn't. So, Dan Mazer is the guy who put this together, and he's one of the leaders and founders of the Boston Comics Roundtable. And he had the idea to do this anthology, a series of these 3 issues. Hopefully we'll do more at some point, but stories that are superhero stories set in Boston, but that are specifically kid-friendly stories, so that these would be all ages, as it says here, all ages, that everybody can enjoy. And so I'm really excited to get this, but I'm especially excited because I have a story in this issue. This is my first comic book story that's published in a comic that I didn't publish myself. So I've got Crime Busters numbers 1 and 2 are already out. I'm putting the finishing touches on 3. I had the successful Kickstarter for issue 3, so that'll be out sometime in the next couple months as well. But I've self-published all of my work until now. I have a story in here. It's actually the cover story. So this is a character that I co-created by the name of Earth Boy, and he's fighting a sludge monster. And on the cover here, you can see the famous Citgo sign outside of Fenway Park. Now, the story inside actually takes place at Walden Pond. I'll just give you a quick look at it. My artist, I'm afraid I haven't actually met him, and so I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Themistocles? I think I just botched that. But let me just show you the name here. It's Reggie Themistocles? I should really find out how that's pronounced. Basically, I had a lot of fun with this. It's a story where there's a kid here in Concord who is walking around the famous Walden Pond at Concord, and he sees an evil corporation called the Oiligarchy, and they're dumping pollutants into Walden Pond. And so the thugs who are doing this, they see him and they start chasing him because he's a witness to their heinous crime. And so he stumbles into a cave, and then I had a lot of fun with some superhero tropes. You can see he finds an old walking stick, and it's got an inscription, and he's like, whosoever holds this stick, should they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor, but it's got dirt on it. And then when he brushes it off, he realizes it's like, oh no, it says the power of Thoreau. And then the spirit of Henry David Thoreau appears to him, and when he strikes the staff on the ground and shouts Thoreau, he gains all the powers of Henry David Thoreau. So I sort of mixed the Thor origin with the Shazam origin, because Thoreau, it turns out, is an acronym like Shazam. So he gets the power to command thunder, the healing properties of herbalism, the tidal strength of the ocean, the cleansing renewal of the rainstorm, the intractable toughness of earth, the secret language of animals, and the unseen world of ultraviolet. So he gains these powers and he becomes Earth Boy. And then in the story, he goes around, and the ghost of Thoreau comes with him as an advisor. And again, I sort of took this from some classic comics. It's similar in some ways to GI Combat with the ghost of Jeb Stewart, but it's also sort of a callback in some ways to a Firestorm, where the professor's in his head telling him how to do things. And so basically, they dump this sewage, and a chemical reaction happens, and a giant sludge monster is formed in classic comic book style. And then Earth Boy has to figure out how to defeat the sludge monster, which he does using the powers of nature to turn it into a harmless and even helpful mulch. And then at the end, he and his animal friends defeat the bad corporation, and he vows to fight for Mother Earth and save it from humanity's degradations. So I really enjoyed doing this. It was just an absolute blast to see this. I had seen a little bit of the rough art while Reggie was working on it, but I hadn't actually seen the finished product until I got this. There's also, that's the first story. It's 6 pages that I wrote. But there's several other stories that are all set here in Boston. So if you're from Boston, you'll get an extra kick out of it. But even if you're not, I think they're a lot of fun. So I'm just really excited to get my first comic book work outside of Crime Busters. It's the Earth Boy story in Boston Powers #3. When I was coming up with the story, I had originally considered actually using the public domain character Nature Boy, but I decided to create a new character instead. Yeah, I'm just really excited. I really dig the cover. I think it looks really cool. We're not all professionals. There's some people in the Boston Comics Roundtable that are professional comic creators. There's some that are sort of semi-professional. There's people like me, where I'd like to make it into a bigger part of my life. And then there's people that just do it strictly as a fun hobby on the side. And so there's all sort of ranges of that in the book, but they're all great. It's all great fun. And we all share a love of comics and love of making comics. So I'm going to have the link below where you can get all 3 issues of Boston Powers. You can learn about the Boston Comics Roundtable if you're interested. I'm just so excited to get this to share with everybody. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.